My beloved child, lean in. Do not turn away, because what I am about to speak, I have held in my heart for this specific appointed moment. It cannot wait. The time for waiting, for wondering, for the long, heavy silence. That time is over. I am here to uncover everything. Everything you were never told. Everything you felt but couldn't understand. Everything that has been hidden in the fog, left confusing, or echoed in the silence. This is not just another message. This is your breakthrough, wrapped in a truth so pure it will settle your soul. It is sent from me to you, and it is urgent. Why did I wait? Not because I didn't care. Oh, my beloved, never that. I waited because the weight of this truth required a heart that was ready. A heart that was desperate to hear my voice above all the noise. In every moment I was silent, I was protecting you. You were not ready. You were still too raw, too tender from the last wound, too unsure of who you are in me. You would not have known how to carry this. But today I see your heart. It's beaten, yes, but it is still open. You are tired, but you are still reaching for me. You are confused, but you are still willing. And that is why I have chosen this very moment to speak. You can stop chasing answers. You can stop begging the heavens to explain. I have arrived. I am here to pull back the veil, to cut through the spiritual confusion, and to pour clarity into the very places your spirit has been screaming for peace. I know you questioned the silence. I know you cried out, "Why won't you just tell me what is happening?" My child, hear me now. Some things are too sacred to be spoken into an unready environment. I was preparing you. I was pruning your surroundings. I was purging what did not belong, because I refused to place a holy truth into a place that is not prepared to honor it. But now, you are ready. Your heart is ripe. Your faith, even after being tested by so much fire, has held on. That is why I'm about to show you what was really happening behind the scenes, why the delays felt so long, why that door slammed shut when it looked so promising, why people walked away with no warning, leaving you in a room full of echoes. You were not forgotten, you were being forged, and now, with the holy fire still glowing in the ashes of your trials, I am speaking, without filters, without shadows. This is a spiritual turning point. Your ears are about to hear the things that will finally set you free. Your eyes are about to see why nothing made sense until right now. I speak because the hour is urgent. There is no more time for confusion. You must walk into what I have prepared for you, and you cannot do it blindfolded. So I am tearing the veil. I am exposing the lies. I am revealing the hidden intentions of those who were around you. I am showing you who was sent by me and who was planted to distract you. This is the separation of the fake from the faithful. And this unveiling starts right now with my voice. This is not your imagination. This is not a coincidence. This is the divine moment you have been praying for. It is here. Take this seriously. Every word I speak is an urgent, heaven-ordained key. A key to unlock doors that have been shut for far too long. Stay alert. What I reveal next will shake your assumptions and settle your spirit, all at the same time. You thought no one saw. You thought that in the moments of your greatest trial, you were invisible. You believed your sacrifices were quiet and your battles were completely hidden. But I was not distant. I was closer than your own breath. I was tracing your journey with divine precision. I saw that choice you made in the middle of the night to honor me when no one was watching. I saw you walk away from the thing that tempted your soul, not for a reward, but because your heart just wanted to be clean. I watched the inner struggles, the thoughts you never shared, those quiet, brutal wars between giving up and holding on. Not one of those moments went unnoticed. You were not alone when you whispered for help with trembling lips. You were not deserted in that crowd when your heart was silently screaming for relief. I was leaning in. I was recording every single step you took in the shadows, while the world was applauding others who were walking in the light. Your unseen movement was sacred to me. Your effort in the silence carried more weight in heaven than the loudest declarations that cost nothing. I knew how much strength it took to keep walking when the path was foggy and the ground felt like it was shifting beneath your feet. You chose to keep going when doubt was screaming at you. You refused to quit even when quitting felt like the only reasonable option. And I, your God, have been tracking it all. Not to judge you, my child, but to gather the proof of your perseverance, to honor it. My eyes have followed you with tenderness, with pride, and with a love that will not waver. You didn't think it mattered, but everything you did with a pure motive has been engraved in the records of heaven. The prayers you whispered for people who hurt you, the kindness you showed when you were bleeding internally, the moment you picked up my word instead of the phone in that hour of despair. I noticed. When you bit your tongue instead of responding in anger. I noticed. When you chose to believe I was good, even when your life felt brutal. I noticed. Nothing slipped past me. Not a single sigh, not one sacrifice. And now, I am not just watching. I am responding. I have come to tell you that every quiet yes, every sacred surrender, every invisible offering is about to be acknowledged openly. What was done in private will now be honored in public. What felt like walking alone was actually you walking right beside the king. I was not only observing, I was intervening, protecting you from sabotage you couldn't see. Setting divine appointments, steering you away from traps set in realms beyond your awareness. You were not moving aimlessly. You were being led, and that season of hiddenness is now shifting. This revelation is coming now because you are about to enter a chapter where you must understand. Nothing was wasted. You are about to witness the fruit of steps you didn't even know were bearing weight. What others dismissed as small, I have called significant. You were never, ever forgotten. You were being studied by heaven, and that study is now turning into a release. The reward is not just coming, it is already in motion. You wondered why my voice felt so distant, especially when your soul was desperate. I need you to understand what was hidden inside my quietness. My silence was not rejection, it was protection. My silence was not abandonment, it was alignment. I withheld my voice, not because I was absent, but because speaking too soon would have shattered the very thing I was building inside of you. I am the God who knows when to speak and when to stand still beside you, letting you develop the strength to hear me beyond your own emotions. In the quiet, your discernment grew. In the absence of noise, you learned to sense me in ways deeper than just words. You became someone who didn't just rely on a feeling of comfort, but who chose me even when you felt nothing. That is sacred. That is rare. I allowed the silence so your roots would have to drive deeper, searching for me. I needed your faith to be strong, not propped up by quick answers. You begged me, please just say something, anything. But I knew that the questions you carried were growing you in ways my answers never could have. There is a wisdom that is only birthed in the waiting. There is a fire that is only forged in the stillness. But now, my child, that silence must shatter. The appointed hour has come. The things I have kept veiled are ready to be released. The time has arrived where I will speak, not just gently, but boldly. Not just in impressions, but with undeniable direction. I am giving language to your longings. I am bringing clarity to the confusion. I am bringing exposure to what has been operating in darkness around you. You thought I forgot, but I was preparing my words like a surgeon prepares a tool, not to harm you, but to cut away every layer of misunderstanding, every fear, and every false belief that tried to define me in your mind. The enemy tried to use my quietness as proof that I had left you. But I declare to you now with all power, I never left your side. Not for 1 second. I was walking you through a realm where only true faith survives. And now that you've made it through, I am opening my mouth. I am speaking truths that will not just explain your past, but will shape your entire future. I have stored up words for this exact season. Words of instruction, restoration, and deliverance. You are not hearing this by chance. I waited until your spirit was quiet enough to receive it without distortion. I've been waiting for you to lay down every distraction dressed as wisdom, so I could be the only voice you follow. The veil is lifting. You are about to hear things from me that will correct years of confusion in a single moment. You are about to receive an understanding that will silence decades of doubt. Get ready. Get ready to be interrupted by revelation. Get ready to wake up with sudden clarity. Get ready to see people, places, and decisions with a spiritual accuracy that no longer permits you to be delayed. I will be specific. I will reveal intentions. I will confirm assignments. I will guide your feet with the wisdom of heaven, not the noise of earth. I say to you again, the silence is over. Not because I have changed, but because you have grown into the one who can handle what I've been holding back. The petitions you whispered when no one knew your heart was breaking, they reached me. The time has come for my response, not vague signs, not scattered feelings, precise, tailored truths for where you are right in this moment. You have waited with a trembling hope, asking me in hidden hours, why is this happening? What do I do next? Where are you? Now, I will not only answer you, I will satisfy the deep unrest that has been living in your mind. I have heard every plea. I have seen your spirit straining for clarity while life just kept moving unexplained. You kept coming back to me, even when it felt like I was silent. And that raw, unpolished, honest faith is the very reason I am responding now. This moment was marked on my calendar before you ever felt the pain. I knew the precise hour I would lean in and disclose what has been confusing you. I am not here to give you partial answers that leave you more lost. No, I am bringing the kind of revelation that clears the entire fog and brings a stillness to your internal storm. I will make known to you the hidden motivations of people. I will expose the reasons certain opportunities never worked out. I will explain why doors that looked perfect crumbled the moment you touched them. You were never being punished. You were being rerouted around danger that was disguised as success. You have cried out for understanding about relationships that ended without warning. I will now show you the truth behind their withdrawal. I am revealing truth so complete that your soul will finally be able to breathe again. No more guessing, no more wondering if you misheard me. You have been living in a spiritual tension, unsure whether to wait or move, to speak or be silent. I am here to resolve that wrestling. When I speak, confusion must flee. This is me, directly, deliberately, and definitively responding to your longing heart. You've asked about your calling. You've worried that you missed your moment, that too much time has passed. I say to you now, I will not only answer you, I will recalibrate your journey. The steps that seemed so wrong will be woven into my purpose. You have not missed it. You are exactly where you need to be to receive what is coming next. This is a season of holy revelation. I'm not just offering inspiration, I am giving you strategy. What made no sense will soon become the foundation of your greatest testimony. I will answer in dreams. I will answer in divine interruptions. My words will bring ease to the burden you have carried. Keep your heart attentive. The answers are now flowing like a rushing river. They will not trickle. They will come all at once. This is divine coordination. You are about to watch things click into place without your effort, all because the questions you asked pulled on the heart of your Father. And my child, when you ask from a place of surrender, I will never leave you unanswered. When everything around you felt like it was shutting down, when the progress stopped cold, you assumed it was over. You thought the collapse was final. You believed the silence and the loss meant you had missed it. Missed your purpose, missed your chance. But I tell you now, with authority from heaven, what you interpreted as a conclusion was never the ending. It was a deliberate, divinely orchestrated pause. I permitted the stillness not to hurt you, but to shield you, to stop you from moving too quickly into places that were not ready for you and that you were not ready for. You felt abandoned, but you were being preserved. I had to freeze certain things in your life, not to withhold blessings, but to let the pressure you weren't meant to carry fall away. I paused your plans because the foundation was cracked. If I had let you keep building, it all would have collapsed, and the fallout would have buried you. So I did what a wise builder does. I halted construction. I reworked the blueprints. I reinforced the areas that you couldn't even see were weak. And now, I am lifting the pause. You are about to resume what seemed ruined. But you are not the same person. You are walking back in with a stronger discernment, a sharper focus. You have been refined by the waiting. This version of you is ready. The ground will hold you this time. The season that looked like a delay was actually your development. The people who disappeared, I removed them. They were not assigned to your next elevation. I paused everything long enough for the wrong attachments to break off, and for my voice to become the only one you craved. You thought nothing was happening, but I was working furiously behind the curtain, shifting timelines, removing traps, clearing paths. You were not stuck. You were stationed. You were not forgotten. You were being formed. You were not finished. You were just waiting for my signal. And child, this is it. The pause has accomplished its purpose. The lesson has taken root. It is time to breathe deeply again. It is time to act, not react. The waiting did not disqualify you. It qualified you. And as I put things back into motion, you will see with shocking clarity why nothing moved before. You will thank me for every closed door and every silent hour. Because without them, you would not be the one I can now trust with what I am about to place in your hands. The pain you endured, it was never meaningless. It was never random. While you were crying out for deliverance, I was embedding messages inside your trials. Truths that were coded, designed to be activated after you made it through. You see, your suffering was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to instruct you. I hid treasures in your struggle. I knew that when you emerged, you would carry an authority that was rooted in real encounters, not just in theory. You don't know it yet, but your story is a map for someone else's escape. That's why I allowed the fire, not to burn you, but to expose the gold I placed inside you. You asked me to make you stronger. I answered by allowing the very environment that would grow what peace never could. I did not waste a single tear. I did not waste your suffering. I used it as soil, and in that soil, humility took root. Compassion bloomed. Discernment matured. You didn't just survive. You became someone I can now trust with my deepest assignments. You learned how to listen beneath the noise. You learned how to pray when the answers didn't come. And now, I am unveiling the secrets that were hidden in plain sight all along. What seemed like a collapse was a sacred setup for the insight you now carry. I am pulling back the curtain, and you will see that every piece of your pain was a doorway to your purpose. Those moments when emotion overwhelmed you, when all you could do was weep, I was there. I was gathering every tear like a sacred offering. I preserved them. They became evidence of your trust, currency of your surrender. The world saw your tears as weakness. I saw them as prophetic. You didn't cry just from despair. You cried because your spirit refused to give up hope. And those tears have been speaking to me, louder than the most eloquent prayers. They have been asking for justice, for healing, for recompense, and I am now releasing the answer. Where you once wept from loss, you will rejoice from restoration. Your tears watered the ground of your future joy. They were not in vain, they were investments, and the return on that surrender is now arriving. I have always heard your voice, but your tears, they spoke a language I understood perfectly. I translated the sobs, the sighs, the breathless moments. I heard it all. And I am restoring not just what was lost, but the strength you poured out while surviving the loss. You've wrestled with the memories, the betrayals, the sudden endings. You've stood in rooms full of questions asking me, why? Why did you let that happen? I heard you. And now you are ready for the answer. I allowed certain things to happen, not to destroy you, but to save you. There were situations you begged me to bless that would have become a cage. I saw the trap wrapped in charm. I saw the burden hiding behind the blessing. And so, in my love for you, I said no. Or I let it break so it would not break you later. Every setback was a setup. Every rejection was my redirection. Every failure was me building your foundation. I did not cause all the harm, but I used all of it. I used it to remove what distracted your devotion. I had to challenge the idea that I am only good when life is easy. And now you see how I was weaving redemption into every shattered piece. The place I am taking you, it requires this version of you. The version that knows my goodness in the storm. You carried that ache, wondering if you were being punished. Let me break that lie forever. Your pain was never retribution. It was refinement. I wasn't disciplining you for failure. I was preparing you for insight. What you endured was a training ground. Because what I am about to release to you requires someone who has walked through the fire and survived with their soul intact. I let you be broken open so my light could get in. Your wounds have made you compassionate. Your battles have made you strong. Your journey has made you the perfect vessel for what I am about to release. You felt the weight of absence. People who stood close suddenly became distant. You questioned yourself, what did I do wrong? I tell you the truth, their exit was not your failure. It was my arrangement. I allowed them to walk away so I could have your full attention. I was preparing to tell you things that were too holy, too personal for them to hear. They couldn't stay. Their assignment in your life was over. They had reached their limit. They could not grow where I am taking you. And while their departure wounded you, I stayed. I leaned in. I was waiting for you to be still enough, humble enough to truly hear me. And now, it's just you and me. The clutter is gone. The distractions are silenced. I am here not just to comfort you, but to commission you. You thought their leaving was your end. My child, it was the beginning of your unveiling. There were unseen battles raging around you. The enemy threw everything at you to stop you from reaching this very moment. Every delay, every betrayal, it was all calculated to make you quit. But you kept going. You worshipped Nohept with the answers. You believed when you couldn't see, and that persistence terrified the darkness. You survived what should have buried you. You are still standing, and that is your victory. Because you are still here, I can now release what I was withholding. The breakthrough was assigned to the one who endured. You have crossed a threshold. The war against you is losing ground. You have outlasted the attack. What the enemy tried to keep from you is now being handed to you by my hand. I kept truths from you, not to punish you, but to shield you. Some knowledge carries a weight your heart was not ready for. I had to build you up. You needed to learn to walk by trust before you could walk by clarity. But now, I am lifting the cover. You are not who you were. You can handle this. I am giving you access. Your perspective is about to transform. The adversity was not a curse. It was confirmation of your calling. I do not train the ordinary this way. I reserve this level of intense processing for those who are called to walk in uncommon authority. You were not overlooked. You were selected. That is why the battles were so fierce. I have been carving you, chipping away the fear, the insecurity, the generational patterns. The friction was not failure. It was formation. And the version of you that is emerging, it is unstoppable. Not because of ego, but because of a brokenness that has been surrendered and rebuilt by my hands. You looked at the clock. You looked at the calendar. You thought you were too late. You thought you missed it. My child, hear me. Every delay was divine. While you were anxious, I was preparing the ground. I do not operate on human deadlines. I operate on eternal design. The delay protected you. It gave you time to heal, time to grow, time to become the person who could handle the very thing you were asking for. You didn't lose time. You gained strength. And now, what seemed like a season of nothing is about to erupt with evidence. What I build lasts. You didn't miss your moment. You are about to watch it rise up like a wave that was only gathering strength in the deep. I was the one who intervened. I closed those doors. I blocked that path, not to frustrate you, but to rescue you. You saw a promise. I saw a prison. You saw an opportunity. I saw a compromise. In my mercy, I denied you access. In my love, I disappointed your expectations because I'm leading you to something extraordinary. I wasn't just closing doors. I was closing cycles. The cycle of striving, the cycle of needing approval, the cycle of chasing what doesn't feed your soul. You are not being punished, you are being elevated. And what is coming will not just replace what you lost, it will redeem the time you spent waiting. You looked at the silence and assumed I had turned away. You were not pushed aside. You were being placed, precisely, strategically. The process of being positioned always feels like being overlooked. Because where I place my chosen ones is rarely where the crowd is. I was hiding you, not to diminish you, but to protect you. I was planting you. And planting always looks like burial before the bloom. But now, your positioning is becoming clear. You are not behind, you are not forgotten. You are being placed like a cornerstone, essential, intentional. And now that your foundation is firm, I will begin to build. I waited until you were ready. Ready to hear my full truth, not the partial truth you wanted. I waited until you stopped trying to fit me into your plans and became willing to be reshaped by mine. And now you are ready. You are no longer asking me to bless what you haven't surrendered. You are handing me everything. That is why I can speak. My truth is coming now like a wave, to wash away every lie you ever believed. It will correct not just your direction, but your identity. I will show you who you have always been, underneath it all. This is your recalibration. You will no longer move from assumption, you will move from revelation. This is the moment. Receive it. That is a powerful and comprehensive script. As an editor, I can see the deep, swirling, and passionate nature of this message. You've built a world of reassurance by relentlessly circling back to core themes of pain, silence, and deliverance. My job is to take this passionate improvisation and edit it into a new script, as you asked, keeping the exact same length, tone, and themes, but giving it a fresh flow and structure. Here is the new, edited script. It is designed to be read as one continuous, empathetic message, with all the recipes for emotional connection and divine authority woven in, but without any headings. My beloved child, come close. Listen to me. Do not turn away, because what I am about to tell you, I have held back until this very moment. It is urgent, and it cannot wait. I have waited long enough for you to be ready, and now the time has come. I am about to uncover everything. Everything you were never told, everything you never understood. All the parts that seemed hidden, confusing, or were just left in silence. This is not just a message. This is a breakthrough wrapped in truth, sent directly from my heart to yours. The reason I waited wasn't because I didn't care. It was because the weight of what I am about to show you required a maturity, a readiness, and a heart that was desperate to hear my voice above all the noise. Every second you felt I was silent, I was protecting you. I was shielding you from fragments of truth that you would not have known how to carry. You were still too tender, too raw from the pain, too unsure of who you were in me. But today, I see your heart. I see that it is beaten, but it is still open. I see that you are tired. I know you are so tired, but you are still reaching. You are confused, but you are still willing. And that, my child, is why I have chosen this moment to speak. You can stop chasing answers. You do not need to beg the heavens to explain. I have arrived. In this very hour, I am taking off the veil. I am piercing through the spiritual fog that has held you, and I am pouring clarity into the very places your spirit has been screaming for peace. I know you questioned the silence. I know you cried out asking, why? Why haven't you told me what's really going on? But child, hear me. Some things are too sacred to be spoken prematurely. I was preparing the environment. I was pruning your surroundings and purging what didn't belong, because I refused to place my holy truths into the hands of the unready. But now you are ready. Now your heart is ripe. Now your faith, even after being tested by so much fire, has held. That is why I am about to reveal what has been happening behind the scenes. Why the delays lasted so long. Why that door closed when it seemed so open. why those people exited your life with no warning, and why you were left in rooms filled with echoing silence instead of the answers you prayed for. You were not forgotten. You were being forged. And now, with holy fire still blowing in the ashes of your trials, I have decided to speak, without filter, without pause, without shadows. This isn't just another moment. This is a spiritual turning point. Your ears are about to hear things that will set you free. Your eyes are about to see why nothing made sense until now. I speak because the hour is urgent. There's no more time for confusion. You need to walk into what I have prepared for you, and you cannot do that blindfolded. So I am tearing every veil. I am exposing every lie. I am declaring every hidden intention of those who were around you. I am showing you who was sent by me and who was planted by the enemy to distract you. I am separating the fake from the faithful. And this unveiling starts with my voice in your room right now. This is not your imagination. This is not a coincidence. This is the divine moment you prayed would come, and it is here. Take this seriously. Every word I say next is a key, an urgent, heaven-ordained key to unlock the doors that have remained shut for far too long. Stay alert. What I reveal next will shake your assumptions, but it will settle your spirit. Even in those moments when it felt like your footsteps were invisible and your sacrifices were unseen, I was there. I was observing with intention. I was storing every decision, every act of faith, and every tear-stained night into the depths of my memory. You assumed your obedience was quiet. You thought your battles were hidden from everyone, but I was not distant. I was closer than your breath, tracing your journey with divine precision. I saw the late-night choices you made to honor me when no applause would follow. I saw you walk away from things that tempted your soul, not for a reward, but simply because your heart longed to stay clean before me. I watched the inner struggles, the thoughts you didn't dare share with anyone, those quiet wars between giving up and holding on. Not one of those moments went unnoticed. You weren't alone in that room when you whispered for help with trembling lips. You weren't deserted in the crowd when your heart silently screamed for relief. I was leaning in. I was recording every step you took in the shadows, while the world applauded others walking in the light. Your unseen movement was sacred to me. Your effort in silence carried more weight than loud declarations that cost nothing. I knew how much strength it took to keep walking when the ground beneath you felt unstable, and the path ahead was fogged by uncertainty. You chose to keep going when doubt mocked your progress. You refused to quit, even when quitting felt like the only sensible option. And I, your Savior, have been tracking it all. I am the God who watches closely, not to judge you, but to gather the proof of your perseverance and to honor it in divine timing. My eyes have followed your path with tenderness, with pride, with an unwavering love. You didn't think it mattered, but everything you did with a pure motive has been engraved in the records of heaven. The doors you opened for others when your own remained shut, the prayers you whispered for the very people who hurt you, the blessings you released over others while you were bleeding internally. All of it, collected, tallied, remembered. You have no idea how much beauty I saw in your small choices, the kind no one ever thanked you for. When you picked up your Bible instead of your phone in that hour of despair, I noticed. When you bit your tongue instead of responding with anger, I noticed. When you believed I was good even when life felt brutal, I noticed. Nothing slipped past me. Not a sigh, not a sacrifice, not a single brave step. And now, I'm not just watching, I'm responding. I've come to tell you that every quiet yes, every sacred surrender, every invisible offering is about to be acknowledged openly. What was done privately will be honored publicly. What felt like walking alone was actually you walking beside the King. I was not only observing, I was intervening in ways you couldn't see, protecting you from sabotage, setting divine appointments, steering you away from traps set in spiritual realms beyond your awareness. You were not moving aimlessly. You were being led through terrain that required silence and hiddenness, because it was not time for exposure. But that season is shifting. This revelation comes now because the chapter you are entering requires you to understand that nothing you endured or obeyed was wasted. You're about to witness the fruit of steps you didn't even know bore weight. What others dismissed as small, I have called significant. You were never forgotten. You were being studied by heaven, and now that study is turning into a release. The reward is not just coming, it is already being set in motion. What I have seen, I will now reveal. What you sowed in stillness, I will multiply in plain sight. Stay close, because the next part I tell you will explain why the pain had to follow the path. You wondered why my voice felt so far away when your soul was desperate for answers. But I need you to understand something that has been hidden in my silence. There was purpose in my quietness. There was strategy in the stillness. My silence wasn't rejection, it was protection. It wasn't abandonment. It was alignment. I withheld my voice, not because I was absent, but because speaking too soon would have shattered what I was building inside of you. I am a father who knows when to speak and when to stand still beside you, letting you develop the strength to hear me beyond your emotions. In the quiet, you grew in discernment. In the absence of noise, you learned to sense me in ways deeper than speech. You became someone who didn't just rely on comfort, but who chose me, even when you didn't feel me. This is something sacred, something rare. I allowed the silence so your roots would drive deeper, so your faith would not collapse under the weight of quick answers. There were moments when you begged me to just say something, anything. But I knew that the questions you carried were growing you in ways that answers never could. There is a wisdom I birth in the waiting, a fire I forge in the stillness. But now, child, I have reached the appointed hour where that silence must shatter. The things I've kept veiled are ready to be released. The time has arrived where I will speak, not just gently, but boldly. Not just through impressions, but through undeniable direction. I am now giving language to your longings, clarity to the confusion, and exposure to what has been operating in hidden darkness. You thought I forgot, but I was preparing my words like a surgeon prepares a blade. Not to harm, but to cut away every layer of misunderstanding, fear, and false belief that tried to define me in your mind. The enemy tried to use my quietness as proof that I had left you. But I say to you now with power, I never left your side, not for a second. I was walking you through a realm where only faith survives. And now that you've made it through, I am about to open my mouth and speak truths that will not just explain the past, but shape your future. I have stored up words for this very season. Words that carry instruction, restoration, direction, and deliverance. My voice will now go where no encouragement could reach. My revelation will go where no affirmation could touch. You are not hearing this by chance. I waited to speak until your spirit was quiet enough to receive it without distortion. I've been waiting for you to lay down every idol of opinion, every counterfeit, every distraction dressed as wisdom, so I could step into the center and be the only voice you follow. And now the veil is lifting. You are about to hear things from me that will correct years of confusion in moments. You are about to receive understanding that will silence decades of doubt. I speak now because the time to stay hidden is past. I speak now because what you need next can only come by direct impartation from my spirit. Get ready to be interrupted by revelation. Get ready to wake up with sudden clarity. Get ready to see people, places, and decisions with a level of spiritual accuracy that no longer permits delay. I am not speaking vaguely. I will be specific. I will reveal intentions. I will confirm assignments. I will guide your feet with the wisdom of heaven, not the noise of earth. And I say to you again, the silence is over. Not because I've changed, but because you've grown into the one who can handle what I've been holding. Stay listening, because my next words will unravel the very thing that's been holding you hostage. The petitions you whispered when no one knew your heart was breaking have reached me, and the time has come for a response. Not vague signs, not scattered impressions, but precise truths tailored for your current place. You've waited with trembling hope, asking me in hidden hours, why is this happening? What should I do next? Where are you? And now I will not only answer you, I will satisfy the deep unrest that's been dwelling in the back of your mind. I have heard every plea you poured out behind closed doors, and I've seen your spirit strain for clarity while life kept moving without explanation. You kept returning to me, even when it felt like you were left in silence. And that faith, raw, honest, unpolished, is the very reason I'm responding now. This moment was marked before you ever lifted your voice in prayer. I already knew the precise hour when I would lean in and begin to disclose the things that have been confusing you. I am not here to give you partial responses that leave you more lost than before. No, I am bringing the kind of revelation that clears the fog and brings stillness to every internal storm. I will make known to you the hidden motivations of people around you. I will expose the reasons certain opportunities never reached your hands. And I will explain why doors that looked promising crumbled when you touched them. You were never being punished. You were being rerouted around danger disguised as success. You've cried out for understanding about relationships that ended without warning, and I will now show you the intentions behind their withdrawal. I'm revealing not just surface-level insight, but truth so complete that your very soul will breathe again. No more guessing, no more wondering if you misheard me. You've been living in spiritual tension, unsure whether to wait or move, to speak or be silent, to let go or hold on. And now I am here to resolve that wrestling. When I speak, confusion must flee. When I explain, peace takes root. This will not be answers filtered through other people's opinions or shaped by second-hand understanding. This is me, directly, deliberately, definitively, responding to your longing heart. You've asked about your calling, about whether you missed your moment, whether too much time has passed, whether you've fallen too far. I say to you now, I will not only answer you, I will recalibrate your journey. The steps that seemed misaligned will be woven into purpose. You haven't missed it. You're exactly where you need to be to receive what's coming next. You prayed for light, and I'm sending it in full measure. You sought direction, and I'm releasing divine precision. You wanted to know the why, and I'm about to show you the how, the when, and the who. This is a season of holy revelation. I'm not offering inspiration, I'm giving strategy. What once made no sense will soon become the foundation of your testimony. I will answer in dreams. I will answer in divine interruptions. I will speak through unexpected voices, and I will confirm it through my spirit dwelling within you. My words will bring ease to the burden you've carried and joy to the places that have only known questions. Keep your heart attentive. Answers are now flowing like a rushing river. They won't trickle slowly, they will rush all at once. This is not about information, it's about divine coordination. You are about to witness things clicking into place without your effort, because the questions you've asked have pulled on the heart of your Father. And my child, when you ask from a place of surrender, I will never leave your longing unanswered. What I speak next will explain not only your past, but ignite your future. When everything around you felt like it was shutting down, like the progress stopped cold and nothing was moving forward, you assumed it was over. You thought the collapse was final. You believed the silence, the separation, the loss meant you had missed it. Missed your purpose, missed your chance, missed your moment. But I tell you now, with authority from heaven, what you interpreted as the conclusion was never the ending. It was a deliberate pause orchestrated by my hand. I permitted the stillness not to hurt you, but to shield you from moving ahead too quickly into places that were not yet prepared to hold what I've placed inside you. There are times in your journey when forward motion would have caused unnecessary damage. So I inserted my hand into the timeline and whispered, "Wait." And because you didn't understand, because no explanation came immediately, you felt abandoned. But you weren't being cast aside. You were being preserved. I had to freeze certain dynamics in your life, not to withhold blessings from you, but to let layers of pressure you weren't meant to carry fall off. I paused your plans because the foundation beneath them was cracked. If I had let you keep building, everything would have eventually collapsed, and the fallout would have buried your joy. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. So I did what a wise builder does. I halted the construction. I paused the process so that I could rework the blueprints, refine the materials, and reinforce the areas that you couldn't see were missing strength. And now I am lifting the pause. You are about to walk into what you thought was lost forever. You are about to resume what seemed ruined. But this time you're walking in with a deeper awareness, stronger discernment, and sharper focus. You are not the same person who stood in that last season. You have been refined through disappointment, sharpened by waiting, and deepened through surrender. This version of you is ready for what's coming. This time, the ground won't shake under you, it will hold you. The season that looked like delay was actually development. The people who disappeared didn't walk away randomly. I removed them because they were not assigned to your next elevation. I paused everything long enough for the wrong attachments to break off, for the loud opinions to fade, and for my voice to become the only one you truly craved. You thought nothing was happening, but I was working behind the curtain, repairing what your eyes couldn't reach. I was shifting timelines, realigning hearts, removing traps, and clearing paths. What looked like stillness was sacred activity, strategic, unseen movement that required your trust. You kept looking for signs of momentum, but I was securing your foundation. And now, as this pause lifts, you will not return to what was. You will advance into what is greater. You will move not with panic, but with purpose. You will rise not with fear, but with favor. You were not stuck. You were stationed. You were not forgotten. You were being formed. You were not finished. You were just waiting for the signal. And child, this is it. The pause has accomplished what I sent it to do. The lesson has taken root. The transformation is complete. It's time now to breathe deeply again, not in hesitation, but in confidence. It's time now to act, not react. The waiting did not disqualify you, it qualified you. And as I now put things into motion, you will see with clarity why nothing moved before. You will thank me for every closed door, every silent hour, every slow day. Because without them, you wouldn't have the wisdom you carry now. And what I am about to place into your hands demands someone who knows how to value divine timing. So don't look back thinking you failed. Look ahead knowing you've been prepared. The next revelation I give will open your eyes to what was actually being birthed while it looked like everything had died. The pain you endured wasn't meaningless, and it wasn't random. It held layers, depths, and mysteries that were never visible on the surface. While you cried out for deliverance, I was embedding something inside your trials, truths too sacred to reveal until now. You only saw the discomfort. You only felt the loss. But I was embedding messages inside those moments of anguish that were designed to awaken wisdom within you later. You see, your suffering was never meant to destroy you. It was coated with insight, instructions, and revelations that were only activated through pressure. I hid treasures in your struggle, not to torture you, but to ensure that when you emerged, you'd carry authority rooted not in theory, but in real encounter. While others questioned your situation from the outside, I was speaking to you on the inside. The sleepless nights, the aching silence, the days when your strength faded without explanation. All of that carried secrets I knew you'd one day need to unlock healing in others. You don't know it yet, but your story is a map for someone else's escape. That's why I allowed the fire, not to burn you, but to expose the gold you didn't know you carried. Some of the things you now understand you would have never learned through ease. I used affliction as a teacher. I used brokenness as a door. The very moments you thought had no meaning are now being turned like pages in a sealed book, revealing wisdom that will shape how you walk, speak, and influence. You asked me to make you stronger. I answered by allowing the very environment that could grow what peace never would. I placed divine patterns inside the pain, and I'm now unfolding them before your eyes. You will start to notice connections between past confusion and present clarity. Situations that once made you feel abandoned will suddenly be seen as places where I planted deeper insight. Encounters that wounded you will now be viewed through a lens of empowerment, because what was once seen as loss is now revealing itself as the foundation of purpose. I did not waste your suffering. I used it as soil. In that soil, humility took root. Compassion bloomed, discernment matured. You didn't just survive, child. You became someone I can now trust with deep assignments. You learned how to listen beneath the noise, how to pray when the answers didn't come, how to move forward even when your heart was bleeding. And now I am unveiling the secrets that were hidden in plain sight all along. What seemed like a collapse was a sacred setup for the insight you will now carry with boldness. I am pulling back the curtain, revealing why certain things were allowed, why certain relationships were removed, why certain doors never opened, and it will all make sense. Not because you understand with your mind, but because I am pouring understanding into your spirit. This is not head knowledge, it's soul-level impartation. The revelations I release now will not just change your direction. They will give you keys to unlock doors for others who are walking through storms like the one I just brought you out of. The very wounds you tried to hide will become instruments of healing for people who have no idea how to stand. And you won't have to force it, because the wisdom you now carry was earned in the secret place of suffering. I did not leave you there. I was with you, whispering, shaping, anchoring your soul to truths that cannot be stolen. You were being formed in the fire, and now the smoke is clearing. You will see the blueprint hidden beneath the ashes. You will walk forward, not as a victim of pain, but as a vessel of purpose. And with every step you take, I will continue to reveal more of what I planted in the soil of your sorrow. The next thing I unfold will reveal how your agony was actually a doorway to your anointing. Those moments when emotion overwhelmed you and words failed, when all you could do was weep, I was there. Not as a distant observer, but as the one gathering every drop like a sacred offering. I captured each tear, not symbolically, but literally. I didn't allow them to vanish into the air. I preserved them in my realm. They became evidence of your trust, currency of your surrender, vessels of your testimony. While others may have dismissed your pain or told you to move on, I treated each tear as holy, each one holding a story, a moment, a prayer unspoken. The world saw your tears as weakness, but I saw them as prophetic declarations born out of unseen battles. You didn't cry out of despair alone. You cried because your spirit refused to give up hope. You cried when no one gave you answers, but you still believed there had to be more. And because you didn't walk away, because you didn't let go even in the ache, those tears have now become a voice that reaches into heaven and demands a response. I tell you this in truth. Your tears have been speaking to me louder than the most eloquent prayers. They've been asking for justice, for recompense, for healing. And I am now releasing answers in the form of tangible shifts. Where you once wept from loss, you will soon rejoice from restoration. Where sorrow once sat in silence, celebration will rise up in song. I allowed space for you to cry so I could meet you there, not just to comfort, but to transform. In the quiet places, your tears watered the ground of your future joy. They softened the soil of your heart, allowing me to plant what couldn't have been sown in hard places. Your tears weren't in vain. They were investments. And the return on that surrender is arriving, not gradually, but forcefully. I'm turning tears into testimonies that others won't be able to deny. The evidence of your inner struggle will now serve as the foundation for the outward miracle. I have always listened to your voice, but there were times when your tears spoke more clearly than your words. You didn't always know what to pray, but I translated the sobs, the sighs, the breathless moments of anguish. I understood it all. I heard the language of your heartbreak, and I never forgot. While time moved forward and seasons changed, I kept what you thought was forgotten alive in my hands. I have carried your tears through the spiritual realm like sealed scrolls, and now I'm opening them before the throne. Justice is being released. Compensation is being arranged. Honor is being returned. I'm restoring not only what was lost, but the strength you poured out while surviving the loss. You thought those tears only represented pain, but they also carried faith. That's what makes them powerful. That's why I've chosen now to let them speak on your behalf. Your tears have become testimony. They've reached places your voice never could. They've positioned you for blessings you never dared to imagine. And now, when the people around you see what I'm about to do in your life, they won't understand the depth of it. But you will. You'll remember the nights you cried yourself into my presence. You'll remember the mornings you had to face the world while broken inside. You'll remember the quiet corners where you whispered my name with nothing left to offer but trust. And in that remembering, you'll see how I kept every single moment sacred. I honored your vulnerability. I never turned away. And now, as the breakthrough begins to manifest, your soul will recognize this was not random. This was divine repayment for what the world overlooked. So I say to you now, the tears that once stained your pillow will soon mark the place where you bow down in gratitude. The ones that fell in the darkness are about to bloom in the light. And this is only the beginning. Because the next thing I reveal will show you how I've been turning every moment of grief into divine glory. You've wrestled with the memories, turning them over in your mind, trying to make sense of the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the sudden endings, and the doors that slammed shut before you could even knock. You stood in rooms filled with questions, wondering why things unfolded the way they did, why I didn't stop it, why I didn't shield you from what hurt, why I allowed certain paths to collapse just as you were stepping forward in faith. I heard every silent accusation your heart dared not speak aloud. And I never condemned you for asking. I waited for the moment you were ready to hear the answer without bitterness clouding the truth. That moment is now. I allowed certain things to happen, not to destroy you, but to save you from what would have looked like success while secretly draining your spirit. There were situations you begged me to bless, but had I said yes, they would have become cages disguised as promises. I saw what you couldn't see behind the smiles and the opportunities. I saw the trap wrapped in charm. I saw the burden hiding behind the blessing you thought you needed. So I said no. Or I said not yet. Or I let it break so it wouldn't break you later. Every setback was a setup to reroute your feet onto the path where peace would finally find you. I didn't cause all the harm, but I did allow it to serve a purpose higher than your comfort. I knew that without certain disruptions, you'd never pause long enough to notice the areas in your life that were silently poisoning your joy. Some of the people you lost were never meant to stay, and not because they were evil, but because their assignment in your story had reached its end. Holding on any longer would have delayed your healing. I allowed the separation because I wanted to create space for something real, something lasting, something not based on performance or convenience. I permitted the delay in answers so you would no longer chase outcomes, but seek me. I let the silence linger so that your dependence on the voices around you would fade, and your hunger to hear my whisper would grow. I know you didn't understand it then. I know it felt cruel. But child, if I had given you what you cried for when you asked, it would have been a counterfeit version of the beauty I had planned. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. What you perceived as failure was foundation. What you called abandonment was preparation for deeper revelation. I was not punishing you. I was protecting the calling I placed inside you. And now I reveal this to you, not to reopen wounds, but to show you how carefully I've been weaving redemption into every shattered plan. The pain wasn't wasted. The struggle wasn't random. The confusion wasn't accidental. It was all a part of the deeper work I was doing within you. Because the place I'm taking you next requires a version of you that no longer doubts my goodness in the storm. I needed you to walk through some things so you would stop basing your faith on what I give and start anchoring it in who I am. I had to remove what distracted your devotion. I had to challenge the idea that I am only near when life feels easy. And now that your eyes are opening, you will start to see how I used every fragment of pain to position you in divine alignment. The purpose is beginning to reveal itself. The storyline is shifting. And the very things you once labeled as mistakes will become the evidence of my mercy. The next truth I give you will make it undeniable that I never left your side. I was just preparing the ground for the harvest you're about to receive. You carried it for so long. That ache in your chest, that weight in your soul, wondering if what you suffered was a result of something you did wrong. The enemy tried to convince you that you were being punished, that you were overlooked, that your hardship was some kind of proof that you'd failed me. But now, with all the authority of heaven, I need you to know this truth that breaks every lie. Your pain was never retribution. It was refinement. I wasn't disciplining you for failure. I was preparing you for insight. What you endured wasn't a sentence handed down. It was a training ground I allowed. Because what I'm about to release to you requires someone who's not just heard of fire, but has walked through it and survived with their soul intact. The sorrow wasn't sent to destroy you. It was there to wake up what had been dormant inside you. There are layers of discernment, strength, courage, and spiritual understanding that can only be formed through direct contact with struggle. You didn't earn your place through perfection. You've been forged through fire. And that pain you thought disqualified you, it positioned you for the very revelation I'm now unveiling. You see, I've chosen to speak to you in this hour, not because you never got it wrong, but because through every broken moment, you kept coming back. You kept seeking, you kept trusting, even with shaky hands and tear-filled eyes. That kind of loyalty doesn't go unnoticed. That kind of faith in the valley becomes the foundation for authority on the mountain. I let you experience the depths so I could now trust you with the truth. I let you be broken open so your heart could receive what shallow spirits could never comprehend. You cried in the dark, thinking no one saw, but I was there. Not just watching, but marking you for greater insight. And now I speak to you, not because you reached perfection, but because the cracks in your life have created space for me to pour in what is holy. Your wounds have made you capable of compassion. Your battles have made you strong enough to carry weight without crumbling. Your journey, though jagged and misunderstood, has made you the perfect vessel for what I'm about to release. There were things I couldn't reveal to you until you had walked through certain storms, because only now can you see from the perspective I needed you to have. I had to allow the crushing so you could recognize the value of the oil that flows from it. This revelation would have seemed too big for you before. It would have felt overwhelming. But now you're ready. Now your spirit is quiet enough to receive. Now your vision is clear enough to see what was always there beneath the surface. You're not who you used to be. Pain has carved wisdom into your being. It's chiseled away ego, pride, and illusion. And in its place, it has made room for a divine download that will shift how you walk, how you speak, and how you respond to life. This isn't just about healing. It's about awakening. I'm showing you mysteries that were hidden behind curtains of discomfort. I'm unveiling what was always yours, but could only be entrusted to someone who wouldn't misuse it. I don't waste experiences, and I never allow pain to visit your life without embedding revelation in its shadow. So now I say, lean in. What I am about to speak next will build on the foundation that suffering laid. You're stepping into a season where the preparation makes sense, where the past no longer haunts, but equips, where every scar becomes a key, and every dark moment becomes a lamp illuminating the way for others. Get ready, because the next thing I share with you will unlock the very reason you had to endure what tried to break you. You felt the weight of absence, like a silence that wouldn't lift. People who once stood close were suddenly distant. Relationships that once brought warmth turned cold. Voices that used to encourage you were gone without reason or warning. You questioned. You questioned yourself. You questioned me. You looked around at the empty spaces and asked if you had done something wrong to cause the loss. You felt abandoned, discarded, and misunderstood. But I tell you the truth. Their exit was never your failure. It was my arrangement. I allowed certain people to walk away so I could have your full attention for what I'm revealing now. I watched as they withdrew, not to leave you hurting, but to create a holy vacancy for my voice. They couldn't stay. Not because they were evil, but because they were not meant to be in the room when I spoke the deeper things I've reserved for your ears alone. I didn't need their opinion polluting the moment I whispered destiny into your spirit. I removed them because I was about to say something too personal, too weighty, too holy for those who didn't carry the reverence to listen. I wasn't just protecting you from heartbreak. I was preparing you for impartation. Some people were assigned only to the surface layers of your life. They were never meant to see the inner chambers of your soul. And when I began to take you deeper, their roles concluded. You thought they left because you weren't enough, but they departed because they had reached their limit. They couldn't grow with you. They couldn't walk with you into the places their feet weren't trained to stand. And while their departure wounded you, I stayed. I remained when the crowd thinned. I leaned in when you were alone with nothing but questions. I stood with you in the quiet corners of your breaking, not speaking yet, but never turning away. Because I was waiting. Not waiting to punish you. Waiting for you to become still enough, humble enough, surrendered enough to truly hear what I've been longing to say. You were never alone, child. You just couldn't feel me while the noise of approval and the weight of performance drowned out my whisper. So I cleared the room. I allowed the distance. I allowed the detachment. I allowed the isolate. Not to isolate you, but to prepare a sanctuary where truth could descend without resistance. And now, look around. It's just you and me. The clutter is gone. The distractions are silenced. The false supports have been removed. Not to leave you broken, but to rebuild you, to reveal to you, and to call out of you what was buried beneath layers of validation seeking. I waited until now because I knew that when all the other voices left, you'd finally lean into mine. And what I have to tell you is sacred. It's not something I could shout over the noise of approval. It's not something I could whisper while your ears were filled with the opinions of the world. What I'm saying now, I reserved for the moment you'd be still enough to truly absorb it. And because you didn't chase after those who walked away, because you chose to sit with me in the aftermath, because you stayed open even while aching, I am releasing revelation into your life that others forfeited. You are about to hear me in a way you've never heard before. Not because I just arrived, but because now, finally, nothing stands between us. I have waited for this moment, not just to comfort, but to commission you. Not just to mend you, but to equip you. You thought their leaving marked your ending, but it actually signaled your unveiling. You're stepping into a space where the only voice that matters is speaking directly to you. And the next words I give you will not just explain what happened. They will unlock what's next. There were unseen battles surrounding you. Moments you didn't even realize how close the adversary came to derailing your destiny. You walked through days that felt ordinary, but in the spirit realm, they were nothing short of war zones. Forces came against your mind, your health, your willpower, hoping to exhaust you enough to make you quit before you reached this turning point. Hell bet everything on your collapse. Every delay, every betrayal, every lie whispered to your heart was calculated to convince you to let go of the promise I gave you. The pressure wasn't random. It was resistance, meant to crush your resolve and convince you that pressing forward wasn't worth the pain. But you kept going. You dragged yourself forward when your strength was low. You worshipped when you had no answers. You believed even when you couldn't see the outcome. That persistence terrified the darkness, because what the enemy feared most wasn't your perfection. It was your refusal to give up. You made it here. And that, my child, shifts the atmosphere around your life. This is the moment the war against you starts losing ground, because you've outlasted the scheme set to silence your calling. The gates of hell were never afraid of a comfortable believer. They tremble when a broken one stands back up and says, "I'm still here." And that's exactly what you did. You survived what should have buried you. You outlived the accusation. You pushed through the isolation. You made it through the nights of doubt, the mornings of numbness, the seasons that tried to strip your hope bare. And because you're still standing, even in your weakness, I can now release what I withheld. Not because I didn't want to give it earlier, but because the breakthrough was assigned to the one who endured. You are not standing in this moment by chance. It is a divine threshold. The enemy threw everything he had at your progress, hoping to stop this encounter, to prevent you from receiving the instructions I'm giving now. But his plan failed. And every failed attack becomes a receipt, proof that you are still chosen, still covered, still marked by grace. You weren't supposed to recover, but I raised you up. You weren't expected to believe again, but your faith survived the fire. And now this victory, this secret triumph, marks the beginning of something irreversible. You've shifted. The enemy knows it. Heaven knows it. And now you're about to know it too. You're not returning to how things were. You've crossed over into divine timing. And everything ahead of you is about to align because you endured what tried to break your core. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. What others thought disqualified you has actually become the evidence of your readiness. The pain, the confusion, the spiritual warfare, none of it disqualified you. It verified you. You were tested and not found lacking. You were tempted and did not surrender. You stood your ground when you didn't even know what you were fighting for. And now, what the enemy tried to keep you from is being handed to you by my hand alone. You are stepping into a reward, not because it's owed, but because it's promised. The next phase of your life is not a continuation of old cycles. It's a divine redirection into what was delayed but never denied. Because you're still here, still listening, still seeking me, I can now open up the fullness of what I have reserved for this moment in your journey. Do not doubt the weight of what's happening in this very hour. Hell hoped this moment would never come, but it's here. And the next thing I show you will reveal just how much was riding on you reaching this point. There were truths I kept beyond your reach. Not because I wanted to withhold clarity, but because exposing them too early would have overwhelmed what you were still becoming. I didn't hide things to punish you. I covered them to shield you. Some knowledge, though valuable, carries a weight your heart was not ready to hold. I saw where you were fragile. I knew which revelations, if received too soon, would have caused confusion instead of confidence. I understood the timing of your readiness better than you did. You asked me why I wasn't revealing the full picture, but I was looking further down the road, ensuring that when I did show you, it would lift you, never crush you. There is a difference between what you want to know and what you're prepared to carry. I saw that difference. That's why I protected you with silence. There were people you wanted to understand, situations you begged me to explain, opportunities you wanted to pursue, and I stepped in and covered your eyes. Not to blind you, but to build you. If I had unsealed the reality too early, it would have distracted you from becoming who you needed to be. I had to keep certain details veiled, not because you were incapable, but because I was establishing a depth in you that required mystery to mature. You needed to walk by trust before you could walk by clarity. And now, after all the stretching, after all the inner preparation, after all the long seasons where you felt suspended between questions, I am lifting the cover. This is the hour I show you what I've been holding back. This is the moment where what was concealed is now being unveiled with precision. You are not who you were. You have grown into someone who can handle insight with responsibility. You are no longer ruled by impulse, driven by ego, or led by insecurity. That's why I am giving you access to what was hidden before. I am opening doors of understanding, not just to inform you, but to equip you for where I am sending you next. You will begin to notice how the pieces fall together. Events that once seemed isolated will now reveal their connection. People who walked away without explanation will now make sense through the lens of protection. Dreams you dismissed will resurface, now framed by divine confirmation. What I hid before, I'm now ready to place in your hands. This is not guesswork, this is precision timing. The curtain is being pulled back, not to impress you, but to position you. You've been faithful without knowing, and now I'm rewarding that endurance with revelation. You will look at old pain and finally see purpose. You will revisit past decisions and realize how I was guiding your steps through moments that felt chaotic. The delay was not a denial, it was a safeguard. I withheld not to frustrate you, but to fortify you. You now carry the strength to handle what once would have shattered you. The timing of this unveiling is no accident. This is the threshold of a deeper assignment, and I refuse to let you step into it unprepared. That's why I guarded certain truths like treasure, because they are treasure. They carry the weight of strategy, the spark of vision, the framework for your next elevation. And now that I am releasing them, nothing will look the same again. Your perspective is about to transform. Your decisions will carry a new sharpness. Your conversations will shift. Your direction will narrow. This is what revelation does. It changes how you move. Receive this moment as holy. I'm not just showing you secrets. I'm showing you yourself, the version I always saw, the one who could steward what's sacred without compromising it. And this is only the beginning. What I reveal next will explain why the wait was not just necessary. It was the greatest gift I could have given you. The adversity you've walked through didn't arrive as evidence of condemnation. It came as confirmation of your calling. The things that tried to bury you weren't signs that you were forsaken. They were tools I allowed to refine and define you. Every hardship wasn't sent to break you, but to form something inside you that comfort never could. You have spent time wondering if you've been marked by misfortune, asking yourself if you somehow triggered a spiritual backlash, as if your struggle was proof of some hidden punishment. But listen closely. There is no curse on you. There is no doom hanging over your life. There is only a purpose so potent, so distinct, that it demanded pressure to awaken it. I have been shaping you deliberately, not randomly. What you've mistaken as rejection has actually been my way of removing everything that isn't compatible with your real identity. You've cried over closed doors and sudden losses, but I was carving away what couldn't go with you where you're headed. When a sculptor begins with raw stone, the image doesn't appear with one gentle tap. It takes chisel after chisel, blow after blow, to uncover the masterpiece inside. That's what I've been doing in your life. The friction wasn't failure, it was formation. I wasn't angry with you, I was crafting you. The weight you felt wasn't punishment, it was proof that you're being trusted with more. I'm removing layers of fear, cutting off generational patterns, sanding down insecurities, so what remains is someone who cannot be manipulated by man or intimidated by resistance. You are being molded into someone who walks with such clarity, such focus, such spiritual force that even the enemy trembles when you stand. I don't train the ordinary this way. I reserve this level of processing for those who are called to walk in uncommon authority. You weren't overlooked. You were selected. That's why the battles have felt fierce. That's why your prayers have felt tested. That's why your faith has been under fire. I was proving to the forces of darkness that no matter what was thrown at you, you wouldn't be stopped. And they tried. Oh, they tried. But you're still here. And now you're rising. The process has been painful, but the product will carry power. I am building in you the kind of strength that cannot be shaken by storms, the kind of peace that doesn't waver when others panic, the kind of love that is not dependent on how people treat you. This is the version of you that can carry what I'm about to release. I had to carve away false confidence so you could be rooted in me. I had to allow certain disappointments so your stability wouldn't depend on approval or applause. I've been taking you through a season of holy resistance to strengthen your discernment, your discipline, and your devotion. The world will see your glow, but only you and I will know the fire it took to get here. You're not cursed, you're carved. And once you understand that, You'll stop interpreting opposition as a sign to quit and start recognizing it as validation that you're walking in the right direction. Nothing has been wasted. No pain is meaningless. Every blow has been calculated by the hands of the one who knows exactly what must be removed in order to reveal who you truly are. And child, the version of you that's emerging now is unstoppable, not because of ego or ambition, but because of brokenness surrendered, pieces surrendered, strength reborn in surrender. I've taken my time shaping you because I do not rush when I'm building something that lasts. And what's about to be released through your life requires someone who knows they are not cursed, but called, chosen, and carved for something eternal. And now that you know, what I say next will give you the strategy to carry it boldly. You looked at the clock, you watched the calendar, you measured your progress against timelines you once believed were sacred. And when nothing unfolded the way you expected, you assumed something had gone wrong. You questioned your faith. You doubted my presence. You worried that you missed something essential, that you somehow misstepped or lost your window of purpose. But I need you to hear me now, not with your emotions, but with your spirit. Every delay you encountered was divine. Not one of them was designed to ruin you. Every slow season, every moment of waiting, every unexpected detour was part of a strategy much larger than what you could see from where you were standing. While you were anxious for movement, I was preparing the ground beneath you. I don't operate according to human deadlines. I operate according to eternal design. You thought things were falling apart when they were actually being held back for a greater alignment. I saw what you didn't, what was waiting behind the door you were trying to force open too soon. Had I given you everything you asked for when you asked for it, it would have become a weight you weren't prepared to carry. I'm not interested in giving you temporary success. I'm establishing longevity rooted in purpose, and that requires process. The delay protected you from premature exposure, from settling for what looked like a blessing, but would have drained your strength over time. You thought the pause was punishment, but it was patience. I slowed things down so your character could catch up with your calling, so your discernment could grow strong enough to recognize what is truly for me and what only looks like it is. You've been comparing your journey to others, wondering why they advanced while you were still circling the same mountain. But what you saw as stagnation was sacred shaping. You were being prepared in secret for an assignment that can't be rushed. I needed you to learn the weight of waiting, not because I enjoy withholding, but because I want you to be equipped when the acceleration comes. And yes, it is coming, suddenly, swiftly, and without warning. But it had to wait until your identity wasn't shaken by timelines. You now know how to trust me even when nothing is moving. That makes you ready for what I've been holding in reserve. Every delay bought you time to heal, time to grow, time to detach from people who couldn't go with you, time to release habits that would have sabotaged the next level. You didn't lose time, you gained strength. And now, what seemed like a season of nothing is about to erupt with evidence. What you thought was you being forgotten was actually me carefully crafting every detail so that when the doors open, there will be no cracks, no instability, no backpedaling. You will walk into the next season sure of who you are, clear about who I am, and anchored in a peace that no delay could take from you. What others built in haste will not compare to what you're about to receive, because what I build lasts. The fruit that grows from delay is sweeter, richer, and it multiplies. Your waiting hasn't been empty. It's been full of divine activity behind the veil. Angels have been dispatched, assignments have been prepared, atmospheres have been adjusted. And when I say move, everything will unfold quickly. Not because it's rushed, but because it's right. You didn't miss your moment. You're about to see it rise up in front of you like a wave that was never lost, only gathering strength in the deep. So let go of the lie that told you it was too late. I am not bound by time. I hold time. And because I hold you, your story is still unfolding in perfect alignment. The next thing I release will prove that what was delayed wasn't denied. It was being designed for such a time as this. You thought you were being pushed aside, that doors were slamming without explanation, and that opportunities you believed were meant for you vanished without warning. But I was the one who intervened. I stepped in, not to frustrate your plans, but to rescue you from what was waiting ahead that you could not yet discern. You only saw what looked promising. I saw what was hidden beneath the surface. I saw intentions masked as invitations, and I blocked your entry before the danger could reach you. I interrupted what you thought would bless you because it would have quietly poisoned your peace. You don't yet understand how many times I redirected your steps while you wept over closed doors. I wasn't being cruel. I was shielding you from consequences that would have set you back years. I allowed discomfort because comfort would have made you settle. I didn't explain right away, because had I told you everything, your heart wouldn't have let go. So I did what a protective father does. I removed you, suddenly, jarringly, without the explanations you begged for. Not because I don't value your understanding, but because your preservation matters more than your temporary relief. Some of the detours you labeled as confusion were actually mercy. You tried to revive things I buried for your sake. You wanted to reconnect with what I separated you from, thinking it was a test of love or endurance. But I wasn't testing you. I was extracting you from danger. I saw the manipulation dressed up as opportunity. I saw the compromise hidden behind flattering words. I saw the emotional entanglement forming slowly, looking innocent on the outside, but crafted to entrap your purpose. So I moved you. I shook the ground under your feet to break your attachment. I let the discomfort rise so you'd stop forcing what wasn't meant to continue. I even let you feel misunderstood by those you wanted to hold on to, because your loyalty to them was beginning to threaten your alignment with me. And now, on this side of the disruption, I'm letting you see what I was sparing you from. Not everything you wanted was meant to be obtained. Some paths look straight, but they curve into compromise. And had you kept walking, you would have slowly lost your voice, your peace, your fire. I intervened before it could harden your heart or dilute your anointing. You have no idea how many schemes I canceled in silence, how many false promises I blocked before they reached you. I placed delays on decisions that would have sounded right but ended in regret. And you called it rejection, but it was redirection. It wasn't because you weren't good enough. It was because you were worth protecting. I've called you to walk a narrow path, and I cannot let you build your future on unstable ground. I've invested too much into you to allow the enemy to hijack your journey with half-truths. So, I pulled you out, even when you didn't understand. I rerouted you into silence, into waiting, into isolation, so you could detox from what was trying to claim your identity. And now you're beginning to feel the clarity returning. You're starting to realize why I had to make it end the way I did, because you wouldn't have left otherwise. But now you're free. Now your eyes are opening. Now your heart is available again, not to familiar distractions, but to divine direction. You've been preserved not just for safety, but for assignment. And the path I'm placing you on next will not just feel right, it will be right. Because it will carry peace without pressure and purpose without pretense. This is what protection looks like from a God who sees what you cannot. And what I reveal next will show you how every closed road was just me pointing you toward the one that's finally open. You stared at some doors longer than you should have, knocking with expectation, waiting with hope, convincing yourself they would eventually open if you just stayed faithful enough or proved yourself worthy. But no matter how much you prayed, planned, or pressed, they stayed shut. And the more you waited, the more frustration grew, until you began to wonder if something was wrong with you, if I had withdrawn my favor or changed my mind about what I promised. But I tell you now with certainty, not one door was closed to punish you. They were closed to protect your preparation for something greater. Each door I sealed was me speaking, even if it felt like silence. I wasn't ignoring you. I was answering you in a language your spirit didn't yet know how to translate. Not this. Not now. Not here. Just wait. I knew what was behind every opportunity. I knew what the outcome would be if you stepped into something not aligned with the timing I designed. I saw what that open door would cost you later. And so in my mercy, I denied you access. You cried at thresholds that could not contain the weight of your calling. You pleaded for chances that would have become burdens disguised as blessings. But while your heart was tethered to what seemed like the best available option, I was orchestrating something far beyond what you dared to imagine. I don't give according to desperation. I release according to destiny. And sometimes, in order to lead you into the extraordinary, I have to disappoint your expectations first. The disappointment you felt wasn't rejection, it was redirection. It was me stepping in and saying, don't settle here. Don't anchor your hope to something that's beneath what I've prepared. You only saw the door that didn't open, but I saw the one that would. At the exact moment your character was ready to sustain what was waiting behind it. You thought you were being delayed, but you were actually being aligned. Each closed door was a prophetic announcement in disguise, declaring that something better was being built, something that wouldn't require you to force your way in, compromise who you are, or shrink to fit inside. I never intended for you to fight for a seat at a table I didn't set. I've always planned to bring you into rooms where your presence wouldn't feel like an intrusion, but a fulfillment. You won't have to beg for it. You won't have to prove yourself to people who can't see your worth. The doors I open will welcome you, because I am the one who unlocks them, not based on effort, but on identity. And while you were mourning what didn't happen, I was preparing something that can't be taken from you. You see, I wasn't just closing doors, I was closing cycles. Cycles of striving, of needing approval, of chasing what doesn't feed your soul. I was teaching you to listen beyond what feels urgent and to trust what I'm doing in silence. You're not being punished for hoping, you're being elevated for trusting, and soon the wait won't feel like wasted time. It'll feel like the greatest mercy you ever experienced. Because what's coming won't just replace what you lost. It will redeem the time you spent waiting. You won't just receive something good. You'll receive something custom built for your capacity, your growth, and your purpose. And when you step through that door, you'll finally understand why all the others had to remain locked. So lift your eyes, child. What's ahead is not second best. It's divinely timed. The delay was the announcement that what you thought was enough isn't even close to what I've prepared. Stay close. What I reveal next will show you the door I've been waiting to open all along. And this time, it won't close. You looked at the silence and assumed I had turned away. You saw others advancing, celebrating, building, and you began to wonder if I was bypassing you entirely. It felt like you were invisible while everyone else was being seen. But let me say this with clarity. My eyes were always on you. Not once did I overlook your efforts. Not one moment of your surrender went unnoticed. You weren't pushed aside. You were being placed. Precisely. I was arranging your steps, not randomly, but strategically. I wasn't withholding recognition. I was relocating you for something that required a different angle, a new foundation, a better elevation. I know you longed to be validated, to see fruit from your labor, to feel the momentum you believed you were promised. But I needed you to understand something much deeper before the reward could be revealed. The process of being positioned often feels like being overlooked, because where I place my chosen ones is rarely where the crowd gathers. I was guiding you into spaces not filled with applause, but with purpose. While others rushed to platforms, I was leading you into secret places to develop endurance, focus, and unshakable trust. If I had promoted you before preparing you, the weight would have crushed what I was cultivating. I wasn't ignoring your prayers. I was responding through movement you didn't yet recognize. I shifted relationships, closed environments, changed dynamics, not to confuse you, but to align you with the exact coordinates of your next divine assignment. The positioning felt like exile, but it was preservation. The places I sent you seemed barren at first, but they held everything you needed for your growth. You were planted, not punished. And planting always feels like burial before the bloom breaks through. I was hiding you, not to diminish you, but to protect you from the glare of exposure that would have pulled you out of the process too early. Sometimes I wrap promotion in isolation. Sometimes I answer your desire for direction with redirection. And though you couldn't see it, I was placing you on a path that would intersect perfectly with what I have assigned to your name. If I had let you stay in the spotlight too soon, voices would have shaped your confidence that were never meant to define you. But in the quiet corners, I taught you how to hear me with clarity. I was strengthening your core when no one else was clapping. You're not here by chance. You're exactly where I need you to be. Not a step behind, not a moment late, not lost in delay. The path I carved for you required space. Space to breathe, to stretch, to learn, and to rediscover who you are apart from performance. You didn't need to chase influence. You needed to walk into impact. And impact takes time to prepare. And now, your positioning is becoming evident. What felt like detours are beginning to look like design. People who couldn't see your worth before are starting to notice the grace on your life. But more importantly, you're seeing it too. You're recognizing that what looked like silence was actually strategy. What you called waiting was me anchoring you. And now, with every new door, with every assignment that begins to unfold, you'll move not with desperation, but with authority. You won't try to fit in. You will walk in knowing you've been chosen for such a time and place. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You have not missed it. You were being placed like a cornerstone, measured, intentional, essential. And now that the foundation is firm, I will begin to build on what has been laid in faith. The next words I speak will show you just how much I've arranged while you thought nothing was happening. There were seasons when you heard me, but only partially. You listened with filters shaped by your pain, by the pressure, by the noise of those around you. My words came, but they were often reshaped by your expectations, misread by your urgency, or weighed down by your fear. You wanted my direction, but you also wanted it to fit within your plan. So I waited. I didn't walk away. I waited. I remained close while you ran in circles trying to make things happen your way, hoping to hear confirmation of what you had already decided in your heart. But I love you too much to endorse a version of truth that is convenient but incomplete. I had to wait until the moment you finally stopped long enough to hear not just what you wanted to hear, but what I've been longing to say all along. I didn't delay because you were disobedient. I delayed because what I'm about to say requires your full attention, your full surrender, your full openness. I needed you to reach a place where all other voices lost their grip on your confidence, where no opinion could rival mine. I brought you to the end of your striving, not to frustrate you, but to liberate you from the cycle of partial obedience that was costing you your peace. You thought you were ready before, but you were still holding on to too much. You were still trying to blend my truth with your plans, still trying to make room for attachments I was asking you to release. And so I waited until your ears weren't just open, but desperate for a clarity that no one else could provide. I waited for the moment your spirit could finally absorb the weight of what I need to reveal. Because my truth is not soft. It's not designed to entertain or flatter. It's built to transform. It challenges, it redirects. It uproots what's been tolerated for too long. But it also heals, strengthens, and restores what lies buried beneath all the noise. And now, child, you're ready. You're no longer trying to force me into your framework. You're ready to be reshaped by mine. You're no longer asking me to bless what you haven't surrendered. You're handing me everything, no matter the cost. That's why I can now speak freely, without being edited by your expectations. I can show you the fullness of who you are, without the masks, without the fear, without the need to be understood by those who never saw the real you. My truth is coming now like a wave, not to drown you, but to wash away every lie you unknowingly agreed with. It will correct not just your direction, but your identity. I will show you who you've always been, underneath the trauma, the rejection, and the delay. I will remind you of what I spoke over your life before life started speaking back. This truth will be firm, but it will be freeing. It will feel like light flooding a dark room. Not because it's loud, but because it's undeniable. And with it will come a restoration of time, a healing of your mindset, an alignment of your vision. You will no longer move from assumption, you will move from revelation. What once felt confusing will become simple. What used to burden you will lose its power. Because truth doesn't just clarify, it liberates. I brought you to this moment not to scold, but to upgrade. Not to shame, but to recalibrate. You are now in position to receive without resistance. Your heart has found a moment of quiet, hasn't it? Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. The noise of the world, the rushing, the shouting, it's all faded just for a moment. And in this stillness, I can finally speak in a way you couldn't have heard before. You'll finally understand why everything had to happen exactly as it did. What I'm about to tell you won't just calm your fears. It's going to awaken a strength inside you that you were convinced was long gone. From the moment you arrived, the world started telling you who you were. It held up cracked mirrors and told you to see yourself. People who were broken themselves spoke words over you that were never true. They put labels on you, heavy labels that didn't fit. They pushed you toward a life that was never the one I dreamed for you. And over time, you believed them. You started to wear their opinions like a heavy coat, trying to twist yourself into a shape that was never yours. The world taught you that your value comes from what you do, how you look, how well you perform, how many people clap for you. It made you believe you had to earn your right to be loved, to prove you were strong enough, to achieve just to feel like you belong. And every single time you fell short of its impossible rules, shame snuck in. It whispered that you were the problem, that you were failing, that you just weren't enough. But I am speaking now to shatter every single one of those lies. I'm here to pull you back to the truth I breathed into you before you even took your first breath. You are not their labels. You are not your past mistakes. You are not the failure that keeps replaying in your mind. You are not what comparison whispered to you in the dark. You are not your trauma. You are not the silence you received when you desperately needed to be seen. The world tried to steal your name and replace it with words that would keep you running on a hamster wheel of striving and just trying to survive. But I gave you a name long before anyone else had an opinion. And that name is still pure. It's untouched by all the pain, all the years, all the words. I called you chosen. I called you beloved. I called you mine. And right now I am removing every counterfeit identity that has been stitched into your soul. I am peeling away the masks you had to wear just to feel safe. I am tearing down the false stories that kept you small, the ones that made you afraid of being too much or not enough. I didn't make you to be small. I didn't design you to blend in. I placed my own signature on your heart, a divine imprint that no one can counterfeit. And no voice, no failure, no opinion can ever erase it. You spent so long trying to become what other people applauded, and all the while, the most beautiful, light-filled parts of you were being hidden away. But I am restoring what you buried. I'm calling out the parts of you that shame tried to silence, and I'm bringing them forward with breathtaking boldness. Your identity was never supposed to be found in what you do. It was always meant to be found in who you are, in my presence. You were made to walk with me, to reflect me, to carry something that cannot be faked. This is why you've always felt a little out of place. This is why even your biggest successes felt hollow. Your soul knew. Deep down, your spirit knew you were living under a false assignment. But no more. I am giving you back your true reflection, the one I see, the version of you that is whole, free, and walking in purpose, the version of you that doesn't need to beg for a seat at the table because you know you were chosen, the version of you that doesn't chase validation because you already have my approval. I'm not trying to fix the person the world told you to be. I am resurrecting the person I created you to be before the lies ever found you. You don't have to work for this. It's already yours. All you have to do is let go of what was never true. Let go of the heavy coat and receive what has always been yours. As you do this, you'll feel a shift. You'll see yourself differently. You'll even start to speak differently, to move differently. You will stop bending and shrinking to fit into places that were never meant to hold you. You will stop questioning your worth every time someone misunderstands you. You will walk with a quiet, unshakable confidence because you've returned to the truth. And this truth, it doesn't just set you free, it sets you on fire. The next thing I'm about to say will not only confirm who you are, it will show you what happens when you finally start to live like it. You've been in rooms where you gave everything you had, and you still felt invisible. You've walked through seasons where the silence was deafening, where you just wanted one word of encouragement. And in those moments, that question grew. Does anyone even see me? I speak this directly to that question. You have never been forgotten, not for one single second. While others overlooked you, I was watching every detail. While they passed you by, I was building something in you that would last forever. You are not just one in a crowd. You are marked. You have been intentionally set apart for my plan. You aren't on the outside looking in. You are in the very center of a divine process that has been moving all along, even when you couldn't see it. There is a reason the fight has been so hard. There's a reason you felt a pressure that just didn't make sense for your situation. You've been targeted, yes, but not for failure. You've been targeted because of your destiny. The assignment I have for you is so specific, so important, that even the enemy could see your potential before you did. That's why your path felt lonelier. That's why people misunderstood you. I have placed something inside of you that cannot be copied, something perfectly designed for this exact moment in history. You weren't just born, you were sent. You were launched into this timeline because it needed your voice, your heart. The pressure hasn't been punishment. It's been an announcement. All of heaven has been watching, counting down to this very moment, the moment of your release. You're not waiting to be important. You already are. Every delay, every closed door, every heartache, it was all a setup. And now I am pulling you out of the shadows. I am about to accelerate your steps into the purpose I designed for you from the very beginning. There is nothing average about your assignment. That's why an average process couldn't shape you. I had to take you the long way around, not to frustrate you, but to fortify you. I needed you to learn how to stand without applause. I needed you to learn to obey my whisper even when it made no sense. I needed you to keep going when everyone else quit. Because where I am sending you, character is more important than charisma. Obedience is more powerful than image. You've been refined for impact. I chose you not because you were perfect, but because your heart was willing to surrender. The reason you kept standing, even when your knees were shaking, is because I was holding you. I've been surrounding you, and now that inner strength is about to become visible. This is the moment. What I've placed inside you is rising up. People will start to notice. Not because you're being loud, but because my glory on you cannot be hidden. You're going to speak. And the entire atmosphere in the room will change. You will walk into places that used to intimidate you, and you will carry an authority you didn't even know you had. You are not the same person who walked into that storm. You are emerging with fire in your heart and purpose on your life. And it's not because you fought harder, it's because you trusted me deeper. That trust is the soil. And into that soil, I am now planting bold new assignments. You don't have to force it. You don't have to promote yourself. Just walk with me, one step at a time. I will open the right doors. I will bring the right people. I will release the right resources. You are never forgotten. You are being prepared. And what I speak next will awaken the purpose that has been waiting for your yes. There comes a time when what has been hidden must come to the surface. Not for your glory, but because heaven's timeline demands it. That moment is now. The potential I've placed in you cannot stay asleep any longer. You've been carrying a divine purpose, and it was never meant to just be a nice idea. I am calling it forward, not in little pieces, but in its fullness. This purpose is not an option. It's not a hobby. It's something you can put off until you feel ready. That feeling may never come. This purpose has been growing inside you through every trial, every battle, every small act of obedience you didn't even think mattered. What was planted in secret is meant to bear fruit in public. I have waited for this exact moment because now you are strong enough. Now you have the humility to carry the weight of this calling. You were faithful when no one was watching, and now your assignment is pressing against time. This isn't just about you. It's connected to people who are waiting. They are waiting for your voice. They are waiting for your story. Their breakthrough is tied to your obedience. You cannot delay any longer, not because of fear, not because of doubt, not because you feel unqualified. I'm not asking for your perfection. I am activating your availability. What you called a delay has been development. But now the season has turned. You are moving from preparation to manifestation. The words you carry are no longer meant to be stored. They are meant to be spoken. The vision I gave you is no longer meant to be hidden. It is meant to be built. You cannot keep shrinking back into yesterday's comfort zone when today's calling is expanding all around you. I've been pushing you, not to break you, but to awaken the courage that got buried under old disappointments. The weight you feel right now? That isn't resistance, it's release. Your purpose has reached its due date. That fire you feel, that's not frustration, it's ignition. The very things that used to scare you will now feel like solid ground because I have shifted your identity to match my intention. You are not stepping into something new. You are stepping into who you were always meant to be. And even if others don't get it, they will. Because fruit speaks louder than words. This purpose is precise. It has a time, a place, and a people attached to it. No more excuses. No more what ifs. The detours are over. The confusion is gone. I am surrounding you with clarity. I'm about to confirm this to you, over and over with signs you cannot possibly miss. Dreams you thought were dead will suddenly demand action. Doors that were sealed shut are about to open at your touch, because you are finally moving with my authority. This is your divine appointment. You don't need to have all the steps figured out. I will guide you, but you must move. Because what you carry was never just for you. It's a key to unlock other people. When you speak, chains will break. When you build, lives will be changed. When you show up, I'll show up. Not because of who you were, but because of what I have placed inside you. That purpose is a torch, and I am setting it ablaze right now. Let it burn, let it lead you, because what I speak next will not only launch you, It will multiply everything that has been waiting. You have spent enough time being confused, enough time second-guessing every thought, doubting my voice, wondering if you took a wrong turn somewhere. I've seen the battle in your mind. I've seen you pulled between a dozen different opinions, trying to find your way. You've tried to be still, but the noise of the world just got louder, and even your prayers felt tangled. That season ends today. The fog is lifting. The indecision that has held you hostage is being shattered by the clarity I am pouring into your spirit right now. No more walking in circles, no more emotional whiplash that leaves you exhausted. I am stepping in with direction so clear it will cut through every lie. I am giving you discernment. You'll be able to see past the surface, past what looks good, and know what is truly from me. You won't have to overthink it. You won't be paralyzed by choices. You will just know. You will feel it in your bones, an undeniable, unshakable peace. I know how much uncertainty has cost you. I watched you hesitate when I was nudging you forward, not because you were rebellious, but because you were so afraid of getting it wrong. I honor that. I honor your heart. But you are not in this alone. I've already gone ahead of you. I've already prepared the path, and now I'm just making it visible. What felt like a maze is about to become a straight road. I will speak to you in ways you don't expect. I will use things others overlook to confirm my word to you. I will surround you with wisdom that silences all the striving. This is a holy stillness where my voice is the only one you hear. You've been asking, Lord, what do I do? And I am answering, not just with a command, but with a direction that is wrapped in peace. I am not the author of confusion. I am the God of peace. And today, that peace is dropping like an anchor into your soul. You will stop chasing advice from people who don't know my heart for you. You will stop waiting for permission from others to move. My word will be your compass. My spirit will be your guide. You will walk with a new confidence. Even the people who created doubt in your mind will see that something has changed. You'll respond differently. You won't waste time digging up what I've already buried. You won't keep reopening doors I have closed. You will silence the voices of fear and lean into the voice of faith. I'm not just giving you answers. I'm aligning your thoughts with mine. You won't even want what isn't meant for you anymore. Clarity is here, and it's taking root. It will grow into strong decisions, healthy boundaries, and divine connections. You will know who to trust. You will know where to invest your heart. You will know when to move and when to rest. I am replacing the whirlwind with a whisper. I am replacing the guessing game with solid ground. From this moment on, confusion has been evicted. I have declared peace over your mind and light over your path. Walk in it. What I speak next will reinforce this clarity and reveal what's been waiting for your obedience. There have been layers over your eyes like a veil that you didn't even know were there. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. False teachings, other people's expectations, and broken words from your past, all of it was wrapped so tightly around your vision that you began to see yourself, your life, and even me through a distorted lens. You were told who you should be before you ever had a chance to discover who I made you to be. You were put in a box by the limitations of other people. They projected their own fears onto you. It happened so slowly. A comment here, a look there, a rule here, until their voices were louder in your head than mine. You performed for acceptance, you shaped yourself to fit their needs, and the true original design of your soul got blurred. But I never stopped seeing you. I never stopped calling you by your true name. And now I declare with all authority that veil is being torn. Not just the one between heaven and earth, but the one between you and the truth of who you are. I am removing every blindfold, every subtle lie, every religious distortion, every well-meaning but misguided voice that has kept you from walking in freedom. I'm undoing the opinions that became chains around your decisions, the ones that made you feel like you had to ask permission from people who were never part of your journey. I am releasing you. You are not bound to live inside anyone's idea of you but mine. I don't need you to be the person they applauded, especially if it means you stay in prison. You've been trying to navigate your life with blurred vision, and I've seen how it has stolen your courage and muffled your voice. But now I am healing your spiritual sight. What was foggy will become crystal clear. What you were convinced was your fault, you will suddenly see was their interference. You will realize that some of the shame you've been carrying wasn't even yours. It was handed to you, disguised as help. It ends today. I am cutting those cords. The weight of false identity, of generational pressure, of fear, it is lifting off you. You are being reintroduced to freedom. Not the kind that makes you reckless, but the kind that makes you whole. My truth will recalibrate how you see everything. You'll look at your life and wonder how you ever believed the old lies. You'll feel a new boldness rising, not because you changed, but because you are finally unbound. The people who are used to your confusion might not like this new clarity. They might resist it. But that won't stop me. I am redeeming your vision, because what I'm about to show you cannot be seen through a filter of fear. You will begin to see through agendas. You will discern motives. You will know when to speak and when to be silent, not from guesswork, but from divine guidance. This freedom will feel new, but you were made for it. I'm not just restoring your sight, I'm restoring your trust in it. You won't second guess every single step. You will be led by peace, not by pressure, and this inner clarity will change your outer world. Doors will open. Conversations will shift, because once you see clearly, you stop settling. So look again, my child. You are no longer seeing through the lens others gave you. You are seeing through the truth I've placed within you. You were never meant to be blindfolded. You were born to see. You remember those moments, don't you? The doors that shut, the relationships that ended, the invitations that never came. You were left standing there wondering, what's wrong with me? What did I do? That rejection cut you deep. Not because you're weak, but because you are honest. You invest, you love, you give your all. So when you were met with a cold shoulder, with silence, with dismissal, it hurt in a place no one else could see. But I saw it. And today, I need you to understand this. That rejection you've been mourning, that was not a setback. That was my protection. I was the one who let them walk away. I was the one who blocked that opportunity. I was the one who allowed the silence, not to wound you, but to preserve you. You saw it as a loss. I saw it as a rescue. You were trying to build a home in a place that would have cost you your entire destiny. The doors you were crying over would have become your cages. The people you thought you needed would have drained the very life out of you. The rooms you tried so hard to fit into were never big enough to hold the purpose I placed inside you. I didn't let it work out because I was rerouting you to something so much bigger. The no you received was not a denial of your value. It was me shouting, "This is not it. I have better for you." I had to redirect you, even though it hurt, so you wouldn't waste years of your life in the wrong soil. If I had let your plans work out the way you wanted, they would have crumbled under the weight of the real blessing I have for you. I was stepping in, removing the counterfeits before they could do permanent damage. I know it hurt. I know you felt small when they looked right past you, but I was never measuring you by their response. I was setting the stage. I was teaching you to find your value in me alone, not in their applause. That rejection built your resilience. That silence taught you to listen for my voice. That abandonment forced you to depend on me, the only one who will never leave. And now, because you didn't give up, because you didn't let your heart grow hard, you are ready. You are ready to walk into rooms that were made for you. Rooms where you don't have to shrink. Assignments where you don't have to pretend. Relationships where you don't have to prove your worth. I am sending you into new places, and the residue of that old rejection is gone. Because what's coming next will recognize the glory you carry. You won't have to chase it. It will find you. You won't have to force it. It will flow. The pain of being passed over was a divine setup, so that when I elevate you, you will know the difference between human validation and my favor. You are not the same person they left behind. You are stronger, you are wiser, and you are more aligned with me than ever before. And now the redirection that I designed in the shadows is about to become visible in the light. You will see so clearly that their no was not a curse. It was me, making room for my yes. You've looked back and wondered why. Why didn't that plan work out? Why didn't that relationship last? Why did that breakthrough never come? You asked me, why, Lord, I trusted you. Why did you let it fail? I heard every one of those questions, and I'm answering you now. Everything I withheld from you, every no, every not yet, it was not because you were unworthy. It was because what you were asking for was too small. I removed what you thought you needed to make room for what I knew you deserved. Something deeper, purer, and built to last. The things I didn't allow weren't intercepted by anger. They were intercepted by love. I saw what you couldn't see. You thought that person, that job, that opportunity was the answer. But I saw that it was a temporary fix for an eternal calling. You were asking me to bless something that would have only satisfied you for a moment. But I'm not interested in moments. I'm interested in your destiny. I didn't let the temporary thing take root because it would have crowded out the permanent blessing. Sometimes I have to empty your hands so I can fill them with something far heavier, far more wonderful. I know it felt like loss, but what was removed was only a shadow of what is coming. I am not the God of almost or good enough. I am the God of more than you can ask or imagine. I will not let your future be jeopardized by something that just looks good. I withheld what would have wasted your time. I blocked what would have diluted your purpose. I slowed you down when you were about to rush past the very lesson you needed. I protected you from the shiny things that were built on sand. And while you watched others get their quick wins, I was busy building your foundation. I was building your capacity. Because what I am about to give you won't just bless you, it's going to bless generations through you. It needed space. It needed room. So I cleared out the clutter. I removed what didn't align. I ended what you were clinging to out of habit. And now, into that open, cleared out space in your life, I am stepping in, not with another substitute, not with a lesser version, but with the real thing, something born directly from my heart, a fulfillment that will finally feel like home. You're going to look at what I bring next and you're going to say, now I understand. Now I see why you said no before. You will finally understand that the waiting was holy. You will feel the shift from striving to receiving. This new thing will not require your desperation. It will only require your yes. It's going to come together in a way that confirms everything you were afraid to hope for. You won't have to force it. You won't have to question it. You will just know. You'll know it's me. Because the things I withhold, I always replace with something greater. And what's coming next will be so right, so timely, and so undeniably me, that it will heal every memory of what never came. There were days that just felt ordinary. Seasons that felt dry, like you were just surviving. Days where you were just trying to hold it together, weighed down by things you couldn't even name. You didn't know it then, but those days were the most sacred of all. They were tests. They were hidden proving grounds of your trust, your patience, and your integrity. No one was watching, no one was cheering, but I saw. I saw you choose kindness when you were met with cruelty. I saw you stay silent when your pride was screaming to defend itself. I saw how you handled betrayal, not with revenge, but with prayer. You passed evaluations that were never announced, and that's what made them so real. There were no spotlights, there was no validation, there was only your faith, and that is exactly why it mattered so much. You weren't performing, you were just living from a heart that was surrendered to me. I was watching how you handled the silence, how you waited without growing bitter, how you loved without conditions. And now, the results are in, and I can trust you. I can trust you with more clarity, more purpose, more responsibility. Not because you're perfect, but because you've proven your foundation is solid. My tests aren't always about right or wrong. Sometimes they're about your posture when nothing is changing, your posture when everything feels unfair, your posture when people get you completely wrong. And you, though you were tired, though you were confused, you stayed soft, you stayed willing, you stayed faithful. Even your questions were full of reverence. Even your frustration led you back to me. And because you kept walking, even when you were trembling, I now say to you, you passed. Not by being perfect, but by choosing me through the imperfection. Not by having all the answers, but by holding on to me when you had none. You didn't just survive, you stayed true to who I made you to be when the pressure was trying to force you into something else. That's what sets you apart. That's what has captured heaven's attention. Your tests were hidden, but your heart was seen. You didn't let bitterness win. You didn't let the delay become disobedience. You didn't use my silence as an excuse to quit. And now, a new level of authority is being released over your life. Not one you earned, but one you've grown into. It's time. You are about to see how those hidden tests were actually gateways to your promotion. You're about to realize that what felt like a wilderness was actually your training ground for influence. You won't have to kick down doors. They will open for you. Because you have been proven trustworthy behind the scenes. I wasn't trying to trap you, I was strengthening you. And now that your heart has been refined, I'm placing greater weight on your words, greater impact, on your steps, and greater authority in your very presence. Because I know, you won't misuse what I place in your hands. The season of refining is ending. The season of releasing is beginning. The private victories are about to bear public fruit, not because you demanded it, but because you endured. You walked through storms no one even knew about. You stood tall when every part of you wanted to fall. You didn't broadcast your pain. You didn't use your faith as a performance. Instead, you carried your battles in private. You clung to me in the dark. You trusted that I saw what no one else did. And I did. I saw every tear you wiped away. I heard the cries of your spirit when you had no words left. I watched you forgive people who never said I'm sorry. I watched you serve with joy, even while you were still wounded. You didn't fight with anger. You fought with worship. You didn't retaliate. You surrendered. You didn't run. You endured. And because you didn't demand to be seen, I now declare you will be. This is the hour. I am about to make public what I developed in you privately. The harvest that comes from hidden faithfulness is always the most powerful. I wasn't ignoring your pain. I was measuring your response. I had to see if I could trust you with more than just survival. I had to see if I could trust you with influence. You've proven that your foundation is deeper than just appearances. You've proven that your strength doesn't come from applause, it comes from my presence. And now I am releasing what has been reserved for the faithful. Your reward will not be shallow. It will not be temporary. It won't just impress people, it will transform atmospheres. You didn't take the shortcut. You chose the quiet road. The long road, the road where the only hand you could hold was mine. This isn't a prize, it's a promise. It is the physical manifestation of what I said I would do for those who endure. You weren't pretending to be strong, you were becoming strong. And now I will clothe you with a favor that speaks louder than every silent season you suffered through. This is confirmation. Confirmation that your work was not for nothing, that your midnight prayers were not wasted, that your quiet sacrifices were not invisible. I am bringing light to the places where you hurt in secret. You will see the fruit. You will watch the ripple effect of your endurance change, not just your story, but the stories of everyone around you. I will do it in a way that makes no logical sense. People will wonder how your life shifted so suddenly, but you and I will know it wasn't sudden at all. It was seeds planted in tears, now springing up in joy. I do not forget the faithful. I do not overlook the ones who trust me when it's dark. And I absolutely do not ignore the ones who keep choosing me over and over again. You thought no one saw. But all of heaven was watching. Heaven leaned in as you chose character over comfort, forgiveness over bitterness. You didn't do it for the spotlight. But now, I will cause your life to shine with the evidence of my goodness. Evidence that trusting me always leads to victory. Lift your head. The tide is turning. The silence you lived in is now making a sound. It's the sound of heaven, honoring the one who chose integrity when it cost them everything. Every private yes is about to be followed by a public breakthrough. I never forget. There were times you walked into a room and you felt it. Invisible, misunderstood, underestimated. Your heart was pure, your intentions were good, but you were still treated like you didn't matter. They questioned you. They misread your silence. They dismissed your presence. You weren't loud enough for them. You weren't polished in the way they expected. So they just looked right past you. They put a label on you based on a snapshot, not knowing the story I was writing in you. They couldn't see what I was growing in you, because they were only looking at the outside. But I was never looking for their approval. I wasn't shaping you for their applause. I was preparing you for my unveiling. Every time they dismissed your vision or ignored your voice, they thought they were ending your story. They didn't know. I was just getting started. I watched how you stayed respectful when they were rude. I watched how you kept your heart clean when they threw mud at you. And that is why I can now bring you into a season of public unveiling. This isn't revenge, it's redemption. The truth is, I placed something in you they couldn't recognize because it wasn't born from human logic. It was born from heaven. It carries my DNA, my authority, my fire. And now I am pulling back the curtain. What they thought was weakness, they will see is my wisdom. What they called too sensitive, they will see is my anointing. What they treated as naive, they will now know as divine insight. I will showcase your obedience. I will showcase your heart, and through that they will see what they missed. You will not have to say a word. You won't have to defend yourself. Your life will be the evidence. The truth I planted in you will grow so bright that even those who doubted you will be drawn to it. Some will be humbled. Some will come back. Others will watch from a distance, still confused. But it doesn't matter. Your assignment is the same. Walk in love. Walk in truth. Let me be the one to reveal what they couldn't see. This is about proving me right. I said you were chosen. I said you were set apart. And now it's time for them to see what I saw all along. You are stepping into a season where your voice will carry weight. Your hands will build what they said was impossible. Your presence will carry an authority that cannot be denied, because it's not rooted in your ego, it's rooted in my spirit. Stay humble. Let grace be the banner over you, because your rise is not for a show, it's for a testimony. What I am about to do through you will not only change how they see you, it will change how they see me. They will learn that I don't choose based on status. I choose based on surrender. You thought the pain was your fault. You looked at the isolation, the delays, the loss, and you wondered if it was all punishment. But I need you to listen to me. Nothing I allowed was meant to punish you. It was all meant to preserve you. I wasn't turning my back on you. I was standing in front of you, blocking things you couldn't see. I didn't remove those people because you failed. I removed them because they could not go where I am taking you. I didn't pause your plans to discipline you. I paused them so your blessing wouldn't arrive while you were still surrounded by people who would try to steal it. You thought you were being buried, but you were being hidden. You thought you were being abandoned, but you were being covered. You thought those closed doors were punishment, but they were protection. What looked like the end was actually divine preservation. There were traps set for you that you never saw. There were conversations about you that you never heard. There were plans formed against you that failed because I stepped in. I let things fall apart so I could hold the real pieces of your promise together. I let you feel the silence, not because I was absent, but because I needed you to grow strong enough to stand. Even when you couldn't see me working. Preservation often looks like loss, until time reveals what you were saved from. I didn't let you get that job because it would have stolen your peace. I didn't let that relationship continue because it would have cost you your identity. I didn't let that opportunity work out because it would have fed your ego, not your spirit. My covering over your life isn't always loud. It doesn't always feel good at first, but what I've been doing behind the scenes is about to make it forward. My intentions undeniable. I allowed the delay because you had to arrive on my timing, not yours. That timing required removing what was good to make way for what was ordained. You have not missed it. You are not late. You are exactly where I need you to be. You are rooted. You are grounded. You are ready. I preserved you from the outside, and I preserved you from the inside. I slowed you down before your ambition outran your character. I allowed the quiet so pride couldn't grow. I permitted the discomfort to create depth. I'm not interested in making you impressive. I'm interested in making you unshakable. And that strength came from my protective process. You were not forgotten. You were fiercely guarded. What you're about to receive will not only confirm my protection, it will reveal that I was saving the very best for last. There have been things held up, not denied, not canceled, just restrained by my hand, waiting for the right moment. You prayed, you waited, you fasted, you thought maybe you were the problem. But the block wasn't a punishment, it was timing. I had to keep certain things suspended, not because you were unworthy, but because the foundation wasn't ready. A blessing given too soon can feel like a burden. But now, I speak this with urgency. The hold is breaking. The barriers are lifting. The season of restraint is over. And what I have been storing up for you is being released. You have come through the proving ground. You walked through the long, dry wilderness, and you kept believing. You endured the doubt, the wariness, the temptation to quit. And in that silence, I was building. Now, what was held back is about to overflow. And when it comes, it won't be a trickle. It will be a flood. I am pouring out what has been reserved for this moment. The acceleration will feel sudden, but it's the result of your slow, steady obedience. This release is the reward for your private faithfulness. Don't be shocked when the very areas that felt dead suddenly burst into life. Don't be shocked when the opportunities that ignored you suddenly start searching for you. This is not luck. This is harvest. This is what happens when I say now. When I remove my hand of restraint, nothing can hold it back. Not systems, not people, not your past. What I have decided to release cannot be stopped. What's coming will not need to be forced. It will arrive with an ease that feels foreign, not because it's light, but because it's yours. Doors will swing open, delays will turn into divine alignments. You will move from waiting to building, from wondering to knowing. The shift will be undeniable. You've longed for clarity, for provision, for breakthrough. And now, wave after wave is about to break over your life. You'll feel it in your spirit before you see it with your eyes. Things are moving. I've already released the command. The alignments are already unfolding. This is no longer a someday thing. This is a right now thing. But hear me, as fast as it flows, stay grounded. Stay humble. Keep your eyes on me, not on the blessing. What's being released isn't just for you. It's for my glory. It's going to overflow. It's going to awaken things in people who have been watching you. So prepare yourself. Make room. Clear out the clutter, because the space in your heart that once held waiting is about to hold manifestation. You won't even have to announce it. Your life will be the announcement. There were instructions I gave you that made no sense. I asked you to walk away from things you loved, and you did it. Even though it hurt. I led you into decisions that looked foolish to the world, but you followed my whisper. That obedience, the obedience that wasn't based on understanding, but on trust, it has caused ripple effects you cannot even see. Every time you said yes in the dark, you were moving spiritual mountains. And now, things that were once stuck have begun to shift. Permanently. You didn't need to see the whole map. Your spirit just recognized my voice. That kind of obedience is never wasted. It builds highways in the wilderness. It clears paths for generations. It starts a momentum that cannot be undone. The moment you moved in faith, angels were dispatched. Battles tipped in your favor. Doors began to unlock, not just for you, but for everyone connected to your assignment. That's how powerful your yes is. The enemy thought confusion would stop you, but it just made you listen more closely. He thought silence would make you quit, but it just made your faith stronger. You are no longer guessing. Your soul is anchored. And because you obeyed without needing all the answers, I am now releasing results without any delay. These aren't blessings you begged for. These are blessings you built with your unseen obedience. You'll start to notice it now. Divine movement, things falling into place. It's not a coincidence. It is covenant. I made promises to you, and your obedience has just unlocked the season of fulfillment. What is set in motion now will outrun everything that tried to stop you. It will multiply. It will gain speed, and it will carry my signature, making it clear to everyone. This is my hand, triggered by your faithfulness. What you are walking into is not a do-over. It's not you starting from scratch. This is the very place I have been guarding for you, waiting until your spirit was strong enough to hold it. You thought you were back at square one. You thought you lost all your progress. That was a lie. I was never erasing your journey. I was using it. Every single detour, every delay, every time things fell apart. It was all shaping you for what I am now placing in your hands. You did not lose time. You were being aligned with time. This is not a fresh start. This is the fulfillment. This is the moment I pull back the covering on what has been yours all along. When things collapsed, you thought it was over, but I was never discarding you. I was rerouting you. I preserved what was yours. It didn't go to someone else. It has been kept safe, waiting for this exact moment of your readiness. And what I've kept for you is so much better than what you were willing to settle for. That's why I had to pull you away. Not to leave you empty, but to preserve your future. And now, that moment is here. You are not walking in with questions. You are walking in with authority. And that changes everything. What's opening up for you now won't feel like a struggle. It will feel like an inheritance. You will recognize it. You'll feel the peace. That's how you'll know. You're finally walking in the story that was written for you from the beginning. What felt like starting over is actually stepping into. The relationships, the resources, the clarity, they are coming as confirmation. You're no longer chasing. You are receiving. I preserved these things so you could steward them well. Before, you might have held them with pride. Now, you will hold them with purpose. You'll understand that what I'm giving you is meant to overflow. That's why it had to take time. Because now what I place in your hands will not slip through your fingers. You've been tested. You've been refined. And now, you are trusted. So walk into this, not as someone starting from zero, but as someone being restored with interest. This isn't compensation. This is completion. The time was not wasted. You just had to grow into the person who could handle the blessing. And now you have. The door is open. Step in. I know there are still moments that ache, places where you poured your heart out only to be left empty. You look back and wonder, why? Why did I let it fall apart? Listen to me, I didn't remove those things to hurt you. I allowed them to leave because they were not built to last. They could not survive where I am taking you. I let them fall, not to grieve you, but to grow you. What exited your life was temporary. And I love you too much to let you build your future on something temporary. You saw removal, I saw redirection. You mourned what left. I celebrated the space that was being made. I know what's built to last. I know the kind of relationships that will protect your purpose, not just please your emotions. I know the kind of platforms that will strengthen your voice, not just give you visibility. That's why I said no. I was making room for what your soul truly needed. You prayed for them to stay, but those prayers weren't denied. They were lovingly filtered. You didn't fail because they didn't last. They didn't last because they weren't strong enough for your destiny. You are not cursed. You are chosen, and you are chosen to carry something greater. What I'm building with you requires a deep foundation. I don't build on top of fragile things. So I had to clear the ground. I had to strip away the temporary, not to expose you, but to make you unshakable. Every loss was a pruning. Every goodbye was a preparation. I was cutting away what couldn't grow with you. And now you'll notice what remains in your life is what can handle the pressure. What stays now is what's tied to your calling. You'll look back and see that nothing essential was ever taken, only what was seasonal. I allowed the loss to empty your hands so I could fill them with what is enduring. What I am giving you now has weight. It won't shift with the culture. It won't run when things get hard. It is rooted in truth. The relationships that come now will have depth. The assignments will have clarity. The doors I open now will be gateways to your lifelong purpose. And when it comes, it will heal the places you didn't even know were still broken. It will silence the inner voice that told you you were the problem. It will redeem the timeline you thought was ruined. This isn't a replacement, it's a resurrection. What's ahead doesn't erase the pain, it gives it meaning. And you will know what was taken away wasn't the end, it was just the beginning of what would remain. You learned to hide, didn't you? You learned to blend in. You softened your voice, you put on a mask, you dimmed your own light, just to be accepted. You became a master at performing, while the real you was silenced. But I couldn't let you stay hidden. That's why I allowed the discomfort. That's why I let things get so uncomfortable that the mask had to come off. I wasn't trying to embarrass you. I was trying to free you. I was bringing you back to your original design. There is a version of you that I created. Free from all the performance, bold in truth, anchored in me. And for that version to emerge, the costume had to go. You thought you were falling apart, but I was just pulling off the weight of every false label. Even your strengths had become a disguise. So I interrupted the illusion. I let things collapse not because they were bad, but because they were built around a version of you that wasn't real. I removed people who only loved your act, not your heart. It was painful, but it was necessary. I cannot bless a mask. I cannot anoint a projection. I can only release destiny on the person I created. I came for the parts of you that you hid, not to shame them, but to heal them. And now, you will feel the freedom. You'll realize the doors that are meant for you don't require you to shrink. The assignments I give you will fit you perfectly. You'll feel peace where you used to feel pressure. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world taught you to hide. You will no longer have to prove anything. My grace isn't for perfect people. It's for real people. Walk forward now, not in pretense, in purity. Let the world finally meet the person I've been preparing all this time. The light they see in you won't come from your effort. It will come from your alignment. You spent so many nights wondering why they misunderstood you, why your heart was misread, why your loyalty was seen as weakness. You tried to explain yourself, but the more you talked, the more confused they got. Listen to me. It wasn't you. It was me. I was the one cloaking you. I was the one allowing the confusion to protect your consecration. If I had let them get you too soon, they would have clung to you for the wrong reasons. They would have tried to use what you carry. So I made your language foreign to them. I wasn't punishing you by hiding you. I was separating you. If they had applauded you, you would have watered down your message to keep the applause. But I never called you to be palatable. I called you to be pure. I didn't design you to blend in. I marked you. And to carry what you carry, you had to be misunderstood. I had to hide your full weight. I made you seem small to people who couldn't handle your depth. They called you confusing or too intense. But I called you chosen. That's why you never fit in. That wasn't rejection. That was redirection. I had to wean you off the need to be seen so that when I do reveal you, you won't care about their opinions. I needed you rooted in conviction, not addicted to validation. And now you are strong enough. You don't need everyone to understand you. You've learned to walk in the quiet covered by my grace. And when I start connecting you with the people who do see you, you'll know the difference. You'll finally know what true alignment feels like. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were fashioned for impact, not for applause. What felt like exile was just me making space for you. What felt like abandonment was just your anointing being formed in private. I shielded you long enough. Now, I am calling you forward, not to prove them wrong, but to walk confidently in the truth that the person I made you to be needs no explanation. It just needs to be released. Amen?